He wants the court of Prince Harry. That court is threadbare, and it will be non-existent when William takes to the throne. And this will be William's revenge. This is punishment. Harry's afraid of what happens when William becomes king. No one's interested in Harry's ideas for TV shows and documentaries, and Meghan herself is toxic, notwithstanding the ambition. She is resolutely untalented.
Charles and Harry, is reconciliation on the cards there?
Nope.
Jeez Louise. Hello and welcome to the Daily Expresso with me, JJ Enisiobi, and joining me, as always on a Monday, the excellence of execution, Mark Dolan. Mark, how are you?
Good to see you, JJ.
Mate, tell me about Tom Bauer. You spoke to him, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that he's the arch nemesis of the Sussexes. They cannot stand him. And the reason why they can't stand Tom Bauer, who's a best-selling royal biographer, is because he sees through them. And he writes books that are full of the truth about this couple, about their double standards, their hypocrisy, their cruelty, their selfishness. And he's got a new book out. So the original book was called Revenge. The latest follow-up is Betrayal. Now, as we discussed on the show, Harry, it's my understanding, Harry fired off a press release, an angry press release, describing Tom Bauer, who is one of the finest journalists, not just in the country, but in the world, as a nut job and a conspiracy theorist. So clearly he's touched a raw nerve.
Yeah.
Why are they so defensive? Well, because the book is a bestseller and it's really bad news for their brand. There's a lot of detail about the nature of the marriage, about the kids, about whether there's a way back for Charles. And I've got to say, none of it is good news.
Whoa. All right. Well, let's talk about their marriage first.
Yeah.
What's Tom saying about this? That Meghan's going to dump Harry?
Well, I mean, it's so sad, right? Because one of the early questions in the interview was, Tom, is Harry happy with his life in California? And Tom could not answer in the affirmative. He just said, look, this is not the life that he chose. He said that Meghan's ambitions, and he said that Meghan is one of the most ambitious people he's ever encountered or ever written about.
That's positive.
Well, it is, except the ambition is at the expense of everything else, including Harry's well-being. So he said that Meghan's ambitions are at odds with what Harry wants for his life, which I think is borne out by the evidence. If you look at the fact that they were going to have a private life after leaving the royal family, where do they go to? Hollywood, California. What do they do? Write a book, do podcasts, documentaries. Doesn't sound very private to me.
Yeah.
And it's Tom's view that Meghan is the engine behind all that Harry's a passenger. He goes along with it. Wow. We know that line that resonated before they got married from Harry to his sort of palace underlings, which is what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. And it seems to still be the case. The other devastating allegation from Tom Bauer in my interview with him on TalkTV was that Meghan will dump Harry and she'll be looking for a billionaire. Now, he said, I can't understand why any billionaire should wish to be in a romantic clinch with Meghan Markle. He said, from his personal opinion, he thinks they might find something better out there. But he said it's his understanding that there are some quite rich people out there who most likely would marry Meghan, would be interested in her. I suppose it's the cachet of fame. Many people would consider that, she's in her 40s, she's still an attractive person. But the bottom line is that he said that, it's absolutely on the cards that she dumps Harry and that she goes and finds herself a rich man. Because as we know, she's had her pound of flesh from Harry. They got the 2 kids. She got the royal title, which, by the way, horrifically, she'll keep when they divorce. She remains Duchess of Sussex.
If they divorce, Mark.
May God help us. Well, this is it. It's a big if. And I know you're very much, you want them to stay together.
Yeah.
I think it's in the balance at the moment. I think that, and based upon what Tom Bauer has had to say, they will remain married. He said, actually, that he thinks the children are keeping them together at the moment. And it is quite clear that Harry is devoted to his kids and he won't do anything that risks his access to them, which would be the biggest price to pay from a divorce. But my understanding from talking to Tom Bauer is that when Harry ceases to be of use, which he currently still is, he's out of there. He's gone. And we've seen that with Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson. She supposedly loved him. It was a whirlwind romance. He helped her in Hollywood. She gets a part in Suits. $50,000 an episode, bye-bye. And she sent her rings back by return of post. So Tom Bauer does not paint a rosy picture of the marriage at all. He says that Harry's not happy in California. He's not suited to it. He'd rather be on a farm in Africa.
Gosh. Okay. Now, what does he say about Charles and Harry? Is reconciliation on the cards there?
Nope.
Jeez Louise.
As the New York taxi drivers say, forget about it. It is not happening at all. I've got so many quotes about this, but essentially that there's no way back. Essentially, it's desperation. That's how the king feels. This is a situation he feels desperately sad. Here's a sick father, estranged from his son, clearly racked with guilt about the way that he was treated as a child. When Charles was going with Camilla, the marriage clearly had broken down. Then Diana died, unable to find a way to solve a problem, not least because of Meghan and because of William. He is so torn. So I think, what Tom Bower's saying, the king's in a pickle. Mm-hmm. What Harry and Meghan want is for a big reunion in 2027, which is when Invictus happens in Birmingham, which I understand is your hometown.
Yep,
born and bred. England's second city.
Yeah,
and
dump.
how dare you? The birthplace of one JJ Anisiobi. And I love that statue in the city centre. I think it's really good. It's almost lifelike. It's uncanny. It's just a matter of time.
It's Lenny Henry.
It's probably Lenny Henry. So yeah, it's that's the hope. Is that what the Sussexes want? Is that there'll be this big reunion, and this would be the great, the couple being approved by the king. The royal blessing. There he is at Invictus again. Tom Bower said they are deluded. It's not going to happen, and William and Harry over. Forget it. I mean, it's done and dusted. The enmity between the two of them, the hatred, the anger, the bitterness, and William is going to. Tom Bower thinks that Harry's afraid of what happens when William becomes king. Tom Bower said, "Well, be afraid, right? Be very afraid, because when he takes to the throne, they will lose HRH, they will lose Prince Harry, Duchess of Sussex, they'll lose the Sussex titles, and the kids will not be prince and princess either. And this will be, of course, devastating for Meghan."
Can William just do that? He can just take that away? They haven't got to pass some statute?
It's a letters patent. Okay. And it would need to be done through Parliament. And it would be a very, very complex process. But it's been done for Andrew. And therefore the precedent is set. That's why poor old Harry is quaking in his boots, because he's seen the treatment meted out to his uncle, and he thinks he'll be next. And Tom Bower confirms he most certainly will be.
Wow. So Harry's going to lose his princehood.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what he clings on to. Why is Harry suing the Home Office for royal armed protection in the UK? He doesn't need armed protection in Ukraine, which is at war. He doesn't need it in Mexico, where they have drug cartels. He doesn't need it in Africa, where there are kidnappings and people wandering around with machetes. Yeah. Oh, no. It's only in sort of Mayfair and other parts of posh central London that apparently he needs a SWAT team. It's a flex. It's an ego thing. He wants to have the entourage. He wants the court of Prince Harry. And what's going to happen is that, at the moment, that court is threadbare, and it will be non-existent when William takes to the throne. And this will be William's revenge. This is punishment.
Gosh. Well, Royal reporter Bronte Coy says that people are basically saying that they are really difficult to work with, talking about Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
And that's the theme there, and it's from a number of sources now.
It's not surprising, is it? We know that the folk that have worked for Harry and Meghan are known as the Sussex Survivors Squad. There are grown men who have reportedly been reduced to tears. This is from a devastating expose in Vanity Fair. There's a theme emerging here, by the way, which is the woke showbiz establishment and the world of publishing, which, again, super progressive, super woke, all in with Harry and Meghan back in the day. Right, they have turned on the couple. Variety magazine, Showbiz Bible, it's brutal. Vanity Fair, the ultimate magazine, sort of coffee table book in every Hollywood mansion, and they're dishing the dirt on the couple. Tom Bower now with this new book. So reputationally, they've got a big problem. And yeah, there is a perception that Meghan is nasty. Of course, it's well reported that she sends her staff creepy emails at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and expects a response and gets angry when they don't.
She's just a hard worker, Mark.
Well, I don't think she sleeps. I think she might be. Have you ever watched much science fiction?
Yes.
Well, there was a TV show in the 90s called V. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, the lizards.
That was it. And they used to, these aliens would, they'd be eating like raw liver from the fridge in the dead of night. I think Meghan's one of them. I think she's otherworldly. I think when she goes to bed, right, most women, they use a sponge to take makeup off. She just peels the entire face. It's just, it all comes off. Poor Harry. I don't know. But the bottom line is that, yeah, the reputation is that it's because she's a perfectionist and she likes control. And that's fine. But I mean, we've all worked for people like that.
Yeah.
I think where I would struggle is, again, going back to my conversation with Tom Bauer, he gave credit to Meghan. And, you know, you're very fair and balanced about Meghan. You look at it 360, which I think's, you know, good. It's important not to just, you know, completely, you know, be just so negative all the time. She is driven. She is ambitious. She has achieved a lot. She's become one of the most famous women in the world, right? Top 10. But Tom Bauer said, notwithstanding the ambition, she is resolutely untalented. He said that this woman, she is not gifted. He said she can't. She's a mediocre actress. And I asked Tom Bauer about the so-called millions of dollars from selling jam, honey, Napa Valley Rosé, and flour sprinkles, my husband. The lavender towels and go in the refrigerator. Let me tell you that she has not sold a gazillion jars of honey and the flour sprinkles, and that they've been gathering dust in a US warehouse, and that the Netflix HQ is overflowing with this junk that can't even be called jam because it's too runny. The business empire, again, and that's why Netflix have pulled out. And can we give up this pretense that somehow this was a kind of mutual agreement between Netflix and Meghan? If that's the case, and if Ted Sarandos, who runs Netflix, is such a friend of Meghan's, why has he just unfollowed her on social media? Which I think you'll agree, JJ, is the ultimate cancellation.
That is, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. By the way, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you hit subscribe, like, and share, and comment. Leave your comments. Tell us what you're thinking about Meghan and Harry. Mark, if people are saying they're difficult to work with, and we had it from the podcast which they got sacked from, and now people from Netflix are saying they're difficult to work with. Does this mean that they're probably not going to work again in the media sphere?
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned this. And the answer is yes. I think that the broadcasting career, the media career, is slowly dying, and they will limp from one desperate project to another. The last hit they had was the Harry and Meghan documentary, which was years ago, and that was the first show on Netflix, and that was it. That was their meal ticket. That's done. No one's interested in Harry's ideas for TV shows and documentaries, and Meghan herself is toxic. In fact, it's quite interesting because there was a very interesting piece in the Mirror this week, and it was from a PR expert who said, I think her name is Maya Riaz, and she said something very interesting. She said that actually Harry has more potential in the media than Meghan, because she said what he could do is, if he divorces himself professionally and in brand terms from Meghan, he's got a chance. He can go back to that Harry that served in the military, that you know was very brave in that context, the guy that loves his kids, the fun-loving guy that goes to parties, drinks a couple of beers, the old Harry that was at one point more popular than Queen Elizabeth II. So this PR expert said, actually, you know, there's hope, but only if he splits from Meghan. But will she swallow that? Is she willing to see, you know, the Sussex brand divided? And what happens if Harry starts doing better than she does? I mean, she's not going to take that lying down, is she?
Well, where are Meghan's Hollywood pals? Oprah Winfrey, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all these powerful players in Hollywood who could open many more doors, throw a few spare projects here and there. Where are all those folk now?
Well, all of these people that you've mentioned are incredibly accomplished. They've all got a talent, unlike Meghan. They're not charlatans. They achieved, you know, Beyonce, the top of the world of music, Serena Williams, tennis. These guys are icons, but they're also ruthless, and they have big sponsorship deals and commercial relationships. They don't want any toxicity, so that's why they've backed away from Meghan. Why wasn't there a single celebrity of note in the With Love Meghan Netflix show? These are her best friends in the world. As you said, where's Oprah? Oprah lives in Montecito. Yeah. So it's a short little stroll up to the mansion. Yeah. And where are the Clooneys? Because the Sussexes they would have dinner with the Clooneys. And where are the Obamas? Yeah. Because again, they were all in with the Sussex brand when they came to the United States. Elton's another one, because let's not forget that Elton is a father figure to Harry. Yeah. And Elton sang at Diana's funeral. Of course, he was best friends with Diana. He was in bits at the funeral. I think it was curiously enough, at Gianni, he had a terrible year, Elton, because in 1 year he lost Gianni Versace, his best friend. Then he loses Diana. And at the Gianni Versace funeral, he's been comforted by Diana. This is after a falling out, a classic Elton who falls out with people the whole time, and then he makes up. He's a mercurial personality. But he fell out with Diana because I think she'd agreed to do a charity thing for him, and then she pulled out, and he was very upset. And I think you don't say no to Elton.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to say you don't pull out on Elton, and that could be no, please. See, the problem with you, JJ, sometimes you're a good man. Okay. You're a great journalist. You can be silly and immature. So, but anyway, so EJ falls out with old Diana, and then poor Gianni Versace, may God rest his soul, he passed in bizarrely shot in LA. It was an awful thing. And that's when Diana and Elton made up again. So there's a big connection with Elton and the Royals and with Elton and Harry. And he was like a father figure to William and Harry, and they would come to, he's got houses all over the world, including a stunning place in Nice, in the south of France. And it's called something like the Yellow Castle, which is the most beautiful house, worth, I think, in the region of $50 million. So anyway, there you go. So, but then suddenly, and if you remember after Megxit, when the couple had left the UK, Elton accommodated them for a few weeks in his Nice mansion. Yeah. And if you remember, he paid the carbon tax on the flight because there was a lot of furore about the fact that they'd been on a private jet. Yeah. And Elton issued a statement saying that he'd bought some trees or something. But anyway, that story told us that, that is a good friend to have. Elton John is famously a very generous man and very loyal to his mates. Well, Elton's gone. I mean, that is old news. The couple have no friends anymore. All they have is people that are on the payroll or that are clinging on to their coattails for some semblance of fame. But, I mean, can you name a famous person that was on the We'd Love Meghan show?
Mindy Kaling, I suppose.
Right. I mean, I suspect a good number of our viewers wouldn't know that she's a very talented lady. Yeah. Well, it's funny that you should mention that in relation to, is Meghan nice to work for or not? Because Mindy Kaling is a comedy actress, a producer and writer who starred in the US version of The Office. And she got attacked by Meghan on her own show, on Meghan's show, We'd Love Meghan. If you remember this moment, notorious. And Mindy Kaling says, well, it's lovely to meet you. I can't believe I'm working with Meghan Markle. It's amazing. It's been super positive. There's a flash of rage in Meghan's eyes. And I've been studying Meghan for years now, and I know angry Meghan, right? I'm familiar. It's like, Paddington's angry stare. Paddington Bear's got this sort of, well, I know Meghan's look of rage, right? And Mindy Kaling says it's great to be working with Meghan Markle. And she goes, didn't you know I'm not Meghan Markle anymore? I'm Meghan Sussex. Like that. And it was a viral moment. Now, the reason why it shocked me, JJ, is because this happens on camera in a TV studio with someone, by the way, that she doesn't know. So Meghan could just be nice rather than attack this poor woman. There was a look of, and Mindy Kaling is no blushing violet. She can look after herself. She's a feisty, tough woman. But even she looked shocked. The blood drained from her face, being admonished by Meghan on TV. And then they've got an edit that stayed in the edit. The producer didn't go, oh my God, Meghan looks terrible here. Cut it out. Probably because if you removed all the bits from that show where Meghan was obnoxious, there would be no show. She makes a cup of tea and then closing titles. Had a cup of tea, flour sprinkles, bye. That would be it. That's the problem, But anyway, so that's it. So is Meghan a nice person? Look, and we've got to be balanced and fair, right? And there are plenty of ex-staffers who say they really loved working with Meghan. She's a very inspirational person, yada, yada. So, there's always two sides to every coin. But that moment, on TV, and I think it's because this is why it's actually very easy reporting on Harry and Meghan, because you don't need to read between the lines. You can actually just look at their behavior. And that episode on Meghan's show. So anyway, that's when you mentioned Mindy Kaling. She, at that point, it's my understanding that she cut off all contact with Meghan. That she was horrified by her appearance on that show. And regretted doing it.
Now, you say that she hasn't sold much of this as ever products, the jams, the wines, etc., etc. But she's going ahead with it, because in Australia,
Yep.
where they're heading soon, she has locked in 12 Australian trademarks for her lifestyle brand as ever, including skincare, candles, gardening, clothing, event planning, jewelry, and home decor. So she's clearly going to be launching some kind of thing down under.
Yeah. I mean, let's go back to being positive about Meghan. She is relentless and she's driven. And to be fair, she actually had a very successful blog before she met Harry called The Tig.
The Tig, yeah.
And so she does have an interest in this sort of lifestyle space. And that hasn't just come out of nowhere. And it's important to put that on record. And she did well with The Tig. But for some reason, since then, since her acting career ended, the enterprises, the little projects have not been good. She's going to hope to do something in Australia. But, you know, all those patents, that's just a statement of intent. You know, that's just aspirational. But she's got to pursue this business enterprise without the support of Netflix. And because, of course, they were in partnership, not just for her broadcasting, but for her business. And they pulled out. So I think that, yeah, she can, you know, trademark all she likes. But it's a bit like, you know, when there's like a band that aren't going anywhere and all they discuss all day is what they're going to call themselves. It's like, we haven't got any songs yet, but let's come up with a name. And I think Meghan's a bit like that. She's like a band with no material. And I think that, you know, she's penciling in this and penciling in that. I mean, Tom Bauer mentioned the trip to America and Australia, I should say. And he said that again was a mark of desperation, that she's flogging tickets, $2,000 for the great privilege of having dinner in her company.
Yeah.
You know, this is not befitting the spouse of the king's son, but here we are.
Well, Tom Bauer also claims that Meghan and Harry are going to run out of money.
Yeah.
How is this possible? They've got a few million in the bank. They could literally downsize, get a nice little 3-bedroom bungalow somewhere, maybe even buy a farm, and never have to work ever again.
No, that's right. So let me tell you what he had to say. I've got the direct quotes here. Tom Bauer. Meghan finds herself at an unfortunate crossroads where she can't raise money by work anymore, other than doing things like going to Australia in this health farm. And she needs to find a new way for the rest of her life to find money, a new source of income. The cost of living for them is enormous, he said. The security alone, which they feel they need, must cost between $1.5 and $2 million a year. The upkeep of their home and their staff must cost at least another $2 million. And then there's the rest. I think that they're running out of money. He thinks they need to pull in $5, $6, $7 million a year just to stay afloat.
That's insane. Why would they not just say, okay, we're not going to take private jets to concerts across the country anymore. We don't need to live in this 15-bedroom Montecito mansion. Why not just, go and get a nice apartment block in somewhere and live for cheaper? I
completely agree. And just travel EasyJet, which is you know, Ryanair. Yeah. They're very nice people. I mean, normally, you know, there are problems flying with some of those cheap airlines. Quite a lot of the the cabin crew a little unfriendly, a little sharp. Meghan would struggle with that, wouldn't she? But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to. They're going to have to live within their means. And I know that when things were good, they were sitting on a bank balance of around $60 million. They'd pocketed the book money from Spare, which is around $20 million. They also, of course, Harry's had his inheritances from Diana and from the Queen Mother, which ran into millions. So there's money there, but the issue they've got is it is dwindling away fast. The outgoings are significant. And I think what Tom Bauer is saying, is that there isn't really a path to profitability for them, that they've actually had their best years already. It's not impossible that they'll go bankrupt.
Okay, let's move off Sussexes and come to our future king, Willie. Prince Willie is saying he's keen to build a strong and meaningful bond with the Church of England.
Yeah.
This is good news, right?
It's brilliant news. It's a great, great thing. I just cannot think of the last time that William put a foot wrong. This guy is wise. He's quite political. He's quite canny. He knows how to diffuse situations. He's got a great understanding about where the royal family needs to go going forward, which is going to be a lean, mean fighting machine. He doesn't want obscure cousins being HRH this and Princess that. That is, my understanding, he's irritated by all of that. So yeah, he's going to have a smart, lean, mean machine, and he's going to have a monarchy that is embedded within the Church of England, his faith. He's been super honest, by the way, because his faith is not performative. So he's on record as saying in the last couple of days that I'm not a devout Christian. And I think, now some people were horrified by that because there is the small issue of the fact that whoever is the sovereign, the king or queen, is anointed by God. Did you know that?
Yep,
God chooses.
Yep.
And therefore, for him to say that he's not a devout Christian whilst being anointed by God is a contradiction. But I think it's welcome because I think it's a modern world now. And I think it's great that he's being honest.
Yeah.
Because you see it in politics. I mean, certainly, until Trump, every US president pretended to be super religious and it was like, may God bless America. And half of them weren't, but it was like obligatory. And it's great that he's not going along with that. He's just going to be himself and go, this is who I am. And yes, I believe in God. And yes, I'm a church goer and I have my faith. But this is not going to be, I can't pretend that I'm, Mr. Super Christian. And I think that's the way forward. A bit of honesty, a bit of authenticity.
He's winning over the public once again, I think.
I think so. I mean, what do you think? I feel he's intelligent, William. I feel like he's canny.
I think
more so than Harry.
I think he's been well trained and well prepped to be king. That's what I think. He's listened to all of the instructions. He's followed the playbook to the letter, and I think he is ready to be king of this country. I
think so. I think the way I see him, he'll be king, and he'll lead the nation, and he'll lead the Commonwealth. But I also see him as CEO.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the chief executive officer.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to, leverage his position for good. I mean, this is a guy that wants to tackle homelessness. He's responsible for the Earthshot Prize, which is about cleaning up the planet. Who disagrees with that? He's got some great causes. Then Catherine, who's going to be such a rock to him when they're on the throne, is passionate about nature and the importance of nature for our health, particularly children. I mean, what they stand for is really laudable, and I think will make a positive contribution. I think he feels that he's got to save the monarchy.
I think he does have to save the monarchy. I think he does.
I think he thinks that he's got a job of work to do. I don't think back in the day it's lovely. The next person gets the gig. There's the crown, and I'll have a nice little glass of champagne, please.
Yeah.
And I think now it's different. I think he thinks, no, I'll be rolling my sleeves up.
Yeah.
And I'll be making changes.
Absolutely. And as you said earlier, one of those changes will be no more Prince Harry.
It's going to be Harry Mountbatten Windsor and then Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Imagine for Harry being lowered to his disgraced uncle. And by the way, the bad headlines continue for old Randy Andy as well.
Go on.
I mean, this guy now, the police, it's my understanding, have expanded the scale and scope of their investigation into Andrew, taking it into alleged corruption and linking Andrew to sex trafficking for minors. Now, of course, Andrew will deny these allegations. Charges have not been made, but this is where the police are going, following the allegations of misconduct in a public office, which, let me tell you, is a positive, innocent, white-collar crime compared to those other two things.
Yeah. Geez, well, hopefully next week we'll have more on Andy.
I think we will.
For now, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you, JJ.
Thank you for watching this edition of the Daily Expresso. Leave your comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the hype button. Bye-bye.